episode 2, and the title you guys came up with and the subject you guys wanted to talk about is Perfectly Imperfect, which is talking about beauty conspiracies that I believe in, and also just recognizing and accepting my own flaws and turning them into something positive, and then taking accountability of my faults. And so I wanted to do this episode with no makeup, no special lighting, completely raw. And let's start with that though, because if most people know me, most people have seen me or met me in person, you guys know that I don't look like this. I actually look a little better, I would like to think. But for some reason, our camera kind of like zooms in and enhances all of our flaws so we can see them. I believe every time you open your front camera, it's supposed to disgust you. And when I look in the mirror, that is not the same person I see. So I'm like, somebody's lying here, because do I look really that ugly like my camera shows me? Or do I look like how I look like in the mirror? I would like to think I look like how I look like in the mirror. This is what I look like in my front camera, and this is what I look like in the mirror. So I don't know if you can tell the difference or not, but I feel like there's a difference. This is what I look like with my front camera with a little bit of makeup on. This is what I look like in the mirror. I feel like I can still tell a difference. And as you guys know, I love filters. I think they're super fun, but you have to recognize that they are filters. They can be used as catfish, right? And so I'm always a little concerned, like, am I catfishing when I'm using these filters? But when I meet people, most of them are like, oh, you look really good. Like, you look a lot better in person, actually. And the reason why I use filters is because I feel like I look the same, like how I should look in the mirror with the filters rather than without, which is crazy, right? Like, that's insane. But that's my conspiracy theory, that I believe that our cameras are set up to sabotage us and make us look at ourselves twice. And I feel like the filters are even there to show you what you would look like with enhanced features, better features, you know, bigger eyelashes, fuller lips, smoother skin, all that kind of stuff. So I believe that is a conspiracy theory set up by society, by the media, by whoever you want to think or believe is in control of commercialization and all that, social media, all that kind of stuff. Because most everybody does not look the way that they look in real life. And actually, there's been a few guys that I have talked to that also like filters sometimes, and that's fine. But some of them, it works for them. It does enhance their features. They do look a little better on camera than they do when I see them in person. But then there's some that look actually better in person, and I feel like it's taking away from their natural characteristics. And so I just want to talk about how all of that makes us feel like we need to alter our features to look better or be better, when in reality, we were made and created in our Creator's perfect vision, and also to be a part of our lineage, our ancestry, to look like our family, to look like our parents. And now, unfortunately, most people all look the same. And so to me, it's just being another sheep in the flock. And I feel like we were all created to be one of one, that there aren't too many people that look like us.
Guys, I hate BBLs, plastic surgery, this whole little era. And the reason why I hate it is because everybody's starting to look the same, and people are starting to think it's normal, and everybody wants to look like that, and I think everybody looks ridiculous. But on top of me thinking that everybody looks ridiculous, it's also, why do you want to be the same? I think that's the issue right there that I really don't like. Everybody wants to be the same. Like, you're not ugly. You just don't look like the ideal of pretty right now because it's plastic surgery. But if you were to open your eyes and ignore the fact that it's popping right now, you will realize that you actually are beautiful. Like, your own unique characteristics that other people don't have is what makes you uniquely you and uniquely beautiful. And I feel like a lot of people are missing that fact. Well, I need surgery to be this person, or I need surgery to be beautiful. No, you just need to find what uniquely fits your unique self, and you will be like, as beautiful as can be. Okay, as beautiful as can be.
A lot of doppelgangers to some. I personally don't feel like I look like anybody. There has maybe been one person which I am related to, that I think that I look a lot alike. Maybe two. They're both cousins though. And so we should look alike, right? Especially if we're not changing or altering our features. And so I feel like that's what it was meant. Like, we were all meant to be our own authentic individual and not want to change what we look like. And it's okay to want to feel pretty and have those days where your hair's done, your makeup's done, everything's done, and you feel good. And like I said in one of my other episodes, toxic standards. Unfortunately for men, there's not too much that they can do, and so I don't think that's really fair. But what's crazy is now there's so many more things that are accessible for us to so-called accomplish our perfect vision of ourselves. And I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't believe that there's a magic pill or a magic shot or a magic potion or recipe that's going to make us exactly what we want to be. No matter how perfect we think that we're going to look or feel, there's always going to be something else that we're going to pick out, because we may take away that we don't like that our hair is straight and now it's curly, but now it's too frizzy and now it's not going to do what I like it to do. So there's always going to be something for us to complain about. And I feel like we just need to accept the fact that we will never be perfect in our own vision. And so instead of trying to accomplish that, maybe we should just accept and love ourselves and make it known that we want to be our own individual and be original and not fall into society and not be another sheep in the flock, And so I just think that's really important, especially in this day and age. And obviously it's always been like that. It's always been around. Like, nowadays you have a, magic pill or a magic shot to make you your perfect weight, or so you think. Back then, people had to do a lot worse things, like starve themselves or literally make themselves sick. And those were diseases. They were called anorexia and bulimia. And for some reason now, there is no disease for wanting to be thinner by taking shots and taking pills and doing all these things to alter your body, which I feel like that should be as well. I think that is an illness too, is trying to obtain perfection when it's just not a realistic expectation.
Perfection is a disease. No, but seriously, perfection really is a disease. Like, we have been so consumed right now in society about just being perfect. And perfectionism do got us in a chokehold though. Like, just look at society right now. Everybody trying to be perfect, from the perfect body, booty, titty, lips, eyebrows, all of that. And I realized that really is a disease, and it's a trap, and I don't want to be a part of that.
And I actually do love movies that kind of point that out. I don't know if you guys ever seen Death Becomes Her. It's a very, very old movie, but it's basically about women aging and not wanting to age, not wanting to have wrinkles.
Bottoms up.
And me, I know physically, I definitely relate to that. I hate the feeling of being old. And so if there was a magic potion that can take away all my aches and pains and I can feel awesome, then yeah, maybe I would, And if it was that easy, then everybody would do it, right? But obviously with that kind of stuff, there does come consequences. And so for them, they were literally physically incapable of dying.
Oh, I have a hole in my stomach. Oh, I have a hole in my stomach.
Yeah.
And you're still alive.
And they would deteriorate in different ways, which was crazy. And so I don't know if you guys ever seen that. You know, we could even use the substance as an example of a shot, you know, giving yourself the shot of youth, but only being able to use it to a certain extent and always wanting more and always craving more, and then turning yourself literally into a monster. And there's American Horror Story. There was an episode in the American Horror Stories where the same thing, this lady is trying to do everything and anything to not age, and so she finds and sees other people thinking that they're just getting plastic surgery, that they're just getting facelifts, and so she goes to do that, but in reality they are sacrificing people. And so they actually turn her face into a pig and hunt her to sacrifice her to keep their youth.
In the name of Attain, the Shining One, who takes the form of the sun and the butterfly, you will take your place among us as a sacrifice. For tradition, this has to be a striving, a challenge, a hunt.
So, you know, there's always crazy, weird, fucked up shit in the media that shows like the lengths on what we're going to achieve, something that's unachievable, and there's always going to be consequences. There's always going to be side effects, right? And there's another movie that I really enjoyed, The Materialists. And that one was really sad to me, and that really opened my eyes that I didn't even know was physically possible. But supposedly men can now break their legs and get extenders to be taller. And I'm sure like and I fall into that, right? Like I'm shallow in the way that I want my man to be taller than me, and unfortunately there are a lot of short men, way more than you guys think, which is crazy. And so I feel for them. Like there's a segment there where Pedro Pascal's character is just talking on how much that surgery changed his life for the better, how people respected him, how people actually seen him. And that hurt my heart. Like I literally wanted to cry.
I know it sounds stupid breaking your legs to gain a few extra inches, but we keep saying definitely worth it. Changed our lives. With women completely, of course. Women just approach us and talk to us now, which never happened before. I haven't struck out since. You can also tell the difference at work, and at restaurants, and airports. You're just worth more.
It made me feel like shit on how I judge men. And you know what? I'm sorry, short kings. I have love for you now. Like, it's not your fault. And I don't want you guys to have to go through that kind of extent to just achieve, you know, to be seen. And I think that's why a lot of short kings have the best personalities, because they got to make up for their height, right? They got to make up in some other way, and that's completely fine. And I know a lot of tall men are kind of like, you know, maybe a little vapid, maybe don't have too much depth because they don't have to. They just get what they want effortlessly. And I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
Taller guys have like less personality than shorter guys do. And I think it's because they don't have like to compensate. I think that they rely more on their height than, I mean, obviously shorter guys can.
But it's just, everything is just so fucked up, and I hate it, and I wish I can change it. Obviously, there's nothing that anybody can do about it, but all I can do and all I can say is I can try to preach it. I can show it within myself, because I didn't want to do any of my episodes without makeup. I actually didn't want to do any of my episodes without filters. But then to me, I'm like, then what am I doing? Like, I'm not practicing what I preach. Like, that's fake, right? Like, I'm telling you guys to be a certain way, live a certain way, but I'm not doing that. Like, no, I don't want to be that person. And so I want to be confident and comfortable and not care or worry about what I look like and if it's perfect to somebody or not. I like to say that we are all, like in the title, perfectly imperfect. That's what we are. That's how we were made to be. And I don't think there's anything that could achieve or accomplish on what perfect is. Like, what is that? I feel like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So what may look good to one person may not look good to another.
Y'all know it's so true. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Like, I know we all be thinking we tea, but honestly, you could be ugly to somebody, and that's okay.
You know, like my favorite Dita reference, you can be the sweetest peach, but there may be somebody that just doesn't like peaches. I myself, I love big, burly men. I like them to have dad bods. Like, yeah, of course, I love me some rock hard abs too. But, you know, as long as they have big arms and a big stature, I'm picky too. We all have our preference. You know, some guys like skinny girls, some guys like thick girls, and that's okay. Like, there's always gonna be somebody out there for somebody, but I don't think you should have to change to get who you want. I feel like the right person will love and appreciate you for everything that you are and love every flaw, and I feel like you should learn how to. And so I love the artists that have aged gracefully and didn't try to do anything to alter their bodies or alter the way they age, like Nelly Furtado and Ashanti. They were tiny, skinny girls when they started. Now they're thick women. They're mothers. That's what happens to our bodies naturally. Even 50 Cent, you know, he had the rock hard abs, the big guns, and people were talking shit about his halftime show performance, making fun of him, saying that he was fat. No, he turned into a man. He's not a little boy anymore. And I feel like we all need to learn that and accept that. And even when little girls become women and they have more women features, I'm going to use Millie Bobby Brown as an example. And I even questioned it. I was like, I feel like she's getting work done. Like, does she get Botox? Does she get lip fillers? So I researched to see whether or not she did, and I found a video from her, you know, addressing that. And it was like, no, I'm just not a little girl anymore. My features change. I'm becoming a woman.
Disillusioned people can't handle seeing a girl become a woman on her terms, not their own. I refuse to apologize for growing up. I refuse to make myself smaller to fit the unrealistic expectations of people who can't handle seeing a girl become a woman. I will not be shamed for how I look, how I dress, or how I present myself. We have become a society where it's so much easier to criticize than it is to pay a compliment. Why is it the knee-jerk reaction to say something horrible rather than just say something nice? If you have a problem with that, I have to wonder, what is it that actually makes you so uncomfortable? Let's do better. Not just for me, but for every young girl who deserves to grow up without the fear of being torn apart for simply existing. Thank you.
And I truly do believe that, because now I'm going to go and fall into my own flaws. And so I've always had a big forehead. I've always had a big nose, and I hated those two features. And obviously, you know, they're still good size, but I feel like now that I got a fuller face, now that I became a woman, like they match me now. They fit with me. I feel like I would look a little odd if my forehead was smaller, especially with how big my eyebrows go when I'm making certain facial expressions. There would be no room for them. And then I appreciate my nose. I kind of like it, honestly. Like, I don't want a tiny, teeny, you know, little Michael Jackson nose.
Plastic surgery on my face, just my nose.
I feel like that's, I don't know, I feel like we need something on our face, right? And I always used to think that I never had lips. I had very thin lips compared to everybody with lip injections. I do, but I do have normal, natural lips. They are, you know, full in their own way. I do use a lip gloss that has plumper in it. So, you know, I'm not gonna say that I'm 100% perfect and natural in every single way. Sometimes, like I said, I like to get lashes now and then or put them on when I wanna, you know, look like a bad bitch, but I can still be a bad bitch without makeup. And then sometimes I like to get my nails and my toes done and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I am 100% natural. There's also like these necklaces that they have came out with.
This is your Santa Carnelian, because within the first hour of having this hoe, a guy chased me out of the subway.
And perfumes that they say that they're supposed to seduce and lure men.
Once you wear it, people are not going to stop asking what it is. It's sweet, warm, has pheromones. Yeah, that kind that makes you extra unforgettable.
You know, there's even those gummies that you're supposed to take to make your vagina taste better. Like, all of this is crazy to me. Like, I feel like I never, well, I have, like, when I was in high school, but once I started getting migraines, I couldn't use body spray or perfumes or anything like that because it would trigger my migraines. And so once I got older, I just stopped using anything altogether. And so I literally don't use anything to mask any kind of smell. Like, I use deodorant, which is 0% aluminum free at that. And I use lotion. And yeah, I use lotion that might have, you know, certain chemicals in it that helps tighten my skin or keeps it a little tight too. So, you know, I'm not 100% virgin when it comes to falling into certain things like that, but I will admit that. And I think that I have natural good pheromones. My son hates it. he says that I smell like a fat sweaty baby when I sweat, but my husband loved it, you know. So there's certain people that are gonna like your pheromones, certain people that don't. And then also buying gummies to make yourself taste better, that's crazy. Like, just take care of yourself, you know, just wash it, clean it, and do what you gotta do. Eat good, you know. I sometimes, if I feel like there's a pH imbalance, I'll use some coconut oil, you know, keep it a little natural. Because I even talked to my OBGYN about it. I wanted to have a conversation with her. Like, do these actually work? Is this a real thing? And she's like, you probably shouldn't be putting anything in your body that isn't natural, that's gonna cause other chemical imbalances. I was like, touche. And so I'm glad I never tried that or did it. But yeah, I was curious too. Yeah, I get curious sometimes. Is there a magic pill or gummy that's gonna, you know, reflect something to make it better? Is there a magic pill that I can take to have the perfect body? Like, I question, but I try very hard not to fall into that. So with my own flaws, like I said before, I was very conscious about those two things on my body. Now that I'm older, I am getting a skin condition called melasma. I don't know if you can see it, but they're just pretty much dark spots, like when you have had too much sun exposure in your life and haven't worn sunscreen. So wear your sunscreen now that you're young if you don't want to get dark spots. But I have looked into creams to get rid of them, but I'm like, you know what? Why? Like, I don't think they're that bad. I think that they almost maybe look like cute freckles even. And then also, I hate my gobbler. I hate my turkey neck. I've tried to do like certain creams and treatments to like make it go down, but like, my mom has it. I don't think there's any escape from it, unfortunately. And so I just got to learn to accept that. I don't have the tightest arms, you know. I got some loose skin down there like most people. Even when I was skinny, I had loose skin under my arm. No matter how much I worked out, it never went away. I've always had cellulite. I've always had stretch marks. And even when I was skinny, like, so that was called skinny fat back then, or slim thick, you know? And so I've always had these flaws, no matter how hard I try to avoid them, no matter how hard I try to get rid of them. And so now I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna learn to accept them. And so what I'm gonna try to do now is just be healthy as I can, just so I don't have, you know, health conditions like diabetes or obesity. I'm sure I'm like 100% obese with what my weight is, but you know, as long as my blood panel comes out clear and shows that I'm healthy, you know, no high cholesterol, no high sugar, because I'm eating healthy, maybe not working out as much as I should, but at least putting some kind of effort and doing some kind of activities like hiking and taking walks and all that kind of stuff. You know, I wish I was somebody that loved the gym, but unfortunately I'm not. It's to me torture a little bit. I told you guys that as well before. And so you just got to learn how to accept what your body is capable of and what you're willing to compromise. And yeah, you can do, you know, minor altercations if you want. If that makes you happy, if that makes you feel better on waking up every day and looking at yourself in the mirror. But to like what extent, right? Like when does it stop? And I think that can be an addiction in itself, that no matter how much it is, it will never be enough. And so you just keep going to the point where there's no going back. And
I was 18 or 19 years old when I got lip filler for the first time. And then I got a second syringe. And then I got a third syringe. And then I got cheek filler. And then I got chin filler, nose filler. And it's like a slippery slope because you get this like hit of dopamine and this rush. When you do filler or Botox, it's like an instant gratification of changing your looks. oh my God, I just did something and it instantly made me prettier. So you keep going. And thank God I did not have the money for actual like plastic surgery. And I also have like a severe phobia of being under anesthesia. So I didn't dabble in like permanent cosmetic procedures. But there are so many women who do. There are so many women that also are on this same slippery slope of like, I need to constantly change myself to look prettier or skinnier or whatever it may be. And it's kind of like a drug. It's a drug that nobody talks about. And it's like, once you open one door to one little procedure, you end up doing a bunch more. If you're a young girl and you're feeling all this pressure to like do all these procedures or look a certain way or change yourself in any way, like, don't fall for it. Don't fucking fall for it. You are literally so perfect the way you are. It's so cliche, but it's so true. Learn to appreciate the features you were born with, because I guarantee you that they're so unique, so beautiful.
Unfortunately, there's so many beautiful women, like Dolly Parton. She was so beautiful, and it breaks my heart seeing her now.
He talks about you in his sleep, and there's nothing I can do to keep from crying when he calls your name, Jody.
Like Cher, even, you know, yeah, they might look good, but 80-year-olds shouldn't look like that. You know, like, can we please like age gracefully? And I'm not gonna say like, once I start getting, like, everybody says, oh, it's easy for you to say, like, you look young, you look like you're in your early 30s, like late 20s, and you're 40, so who are you to tell me? You know, you don't have wrinkles, you don't have this, you don't have that. But like I said, I do have flaws. Everybody does. Nobody's perfect.
Said I was perfect. I never said I didn't have any flaws, but at least I'm pretty, and at least I'm a little funny, and at least I'm my own best friend.
And, you know, I might look perfect to other people in their vision, but like I said, there's some things that I point out about myself. And so, yeah, it is easy to say that I don't have a lot of loose skin yet. I don't have a lot of creases or lines. Like, I can tell my cheeks are getting a little saggy right here. You know, I have some crow eyes, but it's not to the extent to where I'm like, you know, terrified on what I see in the mirror. And I feel like it's just, you know, I feel like those should be your battle scars almost. And like, this is what an aged adult looks like. I should not look like my daughter. You know, like Kim K and Kris Jenner. Like, yeah, she has had multiple facelifts, so now she looks like Kim.
We're at Lauren Sanchez's bachelorette like dinner, and we're sitting there, and someone taps my mom on the shoulder. We're at a restaurant, and they go, Kim?
Oh, your mom died.
And then she comes out. She must have told this story 500 times. And I was like, and the guy was like, oh, sorry.
But to me, that's a little scary. Like, I just feel like, you know, over 60 to 80 should not look in their 30s. That's very, very unnatural. And like I said, too, in my toxic standards, like, you're not going to look like that forever. You will have to keep getting surgeries. You will have to upkeep that. And that's exhausting in itself. Like, I don't want to have any kind of surgery at all unless it has to do with me living, you know, and surviving and my well-being. Like, why am I going to put myself through all that kind of pain and pay all that money just to do it again 10 years later? Like, to me, it's crazy. But like everybody says, it's easy for me to say. I don't need to get breast implants. I don't need to get a BBL because I am a thick Latina. I was made to have those curves. Unfortunately, not all of us are, you know. Like, people like to joke, you're either built like Selena or Yolanda, and the ones that are Yolandas, like, that's not fair, and I feel for them, and it fucking sucks. But, you know, that's what our ancestors look like. So I'm not going to tell you not to make enhancements. I'm not going to tell you not to do certain things, but I am going to tell you that you should love and appreciate, you know, the little things, the small things, the ones that make you an individual and make you one of one, that gives you your authenticity. And so now that I'm done going over with all the physical things, I can now tell you that I am learning how to accept my mental faults. And most of it is me being too blunt, too direct, that I don't really think before I speak. And I really do. I should. I need to. You know, I need to be mindful of the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Hi, just a heads up for those of you who are new here. I am neither demure nor mindful. Okay, I have ADHD. I'm unhinged, unserious, anxious, and a hot ass mess. Thank you.
Be tasteful when I'm saying things, because every time I talk, it sounds very bossy, very controlling, very blunt, very rude sometimes. You know, people take things a certain way and they're like, damn, that girl's a fucking bitch. Like, why is she talking to me like that? Who the fuck does she think she is? You know, like when I would go to college and we get in groups, I'd be like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, and you're gonna do this. And everybody's like, who the fuck does this bitch think she is? But you know what? When they listened, we got shit done. We got A's. And it's just because that's my personality. Blame it on my sign. I'm a Capricorn.
I'm the boss of my life and your life. I'm a Capricorn.
You know, we like to take control. We like to make sure things get done. We're all about the business. And when it's like that, we don't, you know, tread lightly. We don't step on eggshells. We just go full throttle and just say it like it is. And it's not always good. Sometimes, you know, that hurts people's feelings. Like, you know what? Maybe you could have said that in a different way, that it didn't come out like that. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it like that. Maybe I should have said it like this. And so it's like accepting that we can all use some kind of improvement, right? Especially when it comes to our characteristics and our personalities, because they are going to clash with certain people. And like, obviously, we're not for everybody. I say I'm an acquired taste.
I am an acquired taste. If you don't like me, then maybe you should acquire some taste, my love.
You either love me or hate me. There's no in between. You love me because I'm real, because I'm blunt, because I'm genuine, because I'm honest. Or you hate me because I'm an asshole. They think that I'm an asshole or a bitch. You know, like there's just some things that you can't change, that you can't control. You got to accept it, but you should also learn how to maybe make minor changes so that they're not so bad. So I think something that actually scares me about myself are some of my dark thoughts and my intrusive thoughts. And I'm not even going to tell you what they are, because I will end up in jail or a straitjacket. But that's all there are. They're just thoughts. They're things that cross my mind. And they're like, why? Why am I thinking like this? This is literally insane. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, it makes me question my own mentality, right? Like, am I literally a psychopath? Like, why?
When people are like, my intrusive thoughts are like, what if I just had dessert for dinner? And I'm like, oh, my intrusive thoughts are like, what if I just swerved into the highway divider? But yeah, dessert for dinner, no, same.
But I feel like, you know, maybe sometimes we all have these fantasies where we, you know, do crazy fucked up shit. You know, I love movies where they're like how they're gonna handle a situation and they think about what they want to do, but then they show what they actually do. But
dangling Aaron in front of me on purpose. I knew how this would be settled in the animal world. But this was girl world. Your hair looks sexy pushed back.
I feel like we all kind of have those fucked up thoughts, right? But that's the thing. We got to keep them as just thoughts. We got to have self-control. We got to have self-discipline to, you know, tuck them in and keep them in there and maybe not even let them out, you know? Maybe sometimes you can have certain conversations with people that you trust wholeheartedly and to not call, you know, a doctor or police officer on you. Like, me and my friends like to have weird conversations about if we were serial killers, and you guys already know that in my little vlog that I did about accepting, you know, the dark side of me. And so, yeah, we can appreciate it. And, you know, I think it keeps it very spicy. I think it keeps it very entertaining. I think we should always question ourselves a little bit and maybe, you know, think twice, like, is there something wrong with me? I mean, I feel like as long as I'm not acting upon it, I feel like I'm gonna be okay. And then also, sure, I can be very annoying sometimes. I know I'm obnoxious. I know I'm loud. I know I'm hyperactive or high-strung, a little unhinged. You know, you guys seen how crazy I can get just from my dancing videos. dance like that alone. Sometimes that comes out in public. So, you know, are you gonna be that friend that's gonna be like, oh my God, she's so embarrassing? Or are you gonna be the one that's like, I'm gonna join her? And so, you know, that's just, like I always say, your vibe attracts your tribe. What are you trying to do? And so that's one thing I won't apologize for, is my personality when it comes to being obnoxious and, you know, maybe even saying some outlandish things. As long as they're not rude, as long as they're not mean, you know, we keep it light, we keep it funny. And like I said, I like people to clutch their pearls sometimes. It's entertaining to me. And so that's something I will never apologize for. I will never tone it down for. But like I said, I will take accountability for when I am wrong, when I could have communicated something better or not responded a certain way. And I feel like that's probably one of the things that I have been working on in the past couple years, like probably within the past 5 years or so, is not responding based off emotion. Because if I respond based off emotion, like, it's gonna be a full-out brawl, and we're gonna say some horrible, mean things that we're gonna regret later. Because yeah, maybe we have been, you know, it's been boiling up inside us for a long time, but are they necessary? Do they need to come out? And so now I try my very best to just not respond at all. To me, I feel like no response is the best response, and I think it's a very powerful response.
The best way to end something is to stop reacting to it. No response, no explanation, no emotional checkout line. Just don't feed it. That's where the real power lives. Because where attention goes, energy follows. The moment you stop giving it your voice, your time, your emotional breath, it starts to die on its own. You don't have to prove your point. You don't have to win the argument. You don't have to match the energy. Sometimes the loudest response is silence. Let negativity starve and watch how fast it fades.
And I feel like, you know what? You're not even deserving of my energy and my feelings and my emotions, that I don't even need to say anything to you at all. I will let you sit in what you just said and sit in what you're arguing about with yourself, because we are not partaking in that. I try to be unconfrontational as possible. You know, it just depends on the situation. Like I said, if there's alcohol in my system and you literally get physically in my face or touch me, that self-control is a little harder to, you know, hold in, right? Like, because you're not thinking when you're drunk, you just act. And so don't ever please approach me when I'm drunk. You don't want to. Don't do it. Don't do it. Reconsider.
Don't do it. Reconsider.
And so if I'm in sober mind, sober thoughts, you know, I have self-control, I have self-discipline. I'll even, you know, maybe write some things in my notes on what I want to say to them, what I thought I should say. I'll marinate in that for like a day. And if I feel the same, I'm sending it. If I don't, I delete it, but I got it out. Or I'll vent to somebody else about it that can relate, that is going through the same kinds of things, you know. That's what our friends are for. You know, like, we sometimes shit gets heavy, especially in our relationships, and we don't have anybody else to talk to. And so even if they can't resonate, even if they can't help you, like, it's just nice to have somebody to talk to let those things out, because we cannot harvest them. And if you feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, like I said, maybe the best thing is just writing them down and just putting them there and knowing that, you know, if need be, I got something waiting for you.
It's showtime.
I think it's also important to recognize and realize that none of us are perfect. Like, I do have this beautiful, abundant life that I'm so gracious for. But there are times that I wake up depressed. I wake up sad. I wake up with heavy emotions. And I have no idea why. I wish I did, and I hate that I do.
Ever felt sad for no reason? Like, suddenly, everything feels heavy, but you can't explain why? Psychology says that sadness isn't random. It's your brain's way of releasing emotional echoes, feelings from the past that were never fully processed. See, when you go through emotional pain, loss, rejection, guilt, your conscious mind often tries to move on too quickly, but your subconscious, it keeps those emotions stored deep inside, waiting for the right moment to resurface. And sometimes that moment comes when your life feels calm. When your nervous system finally feels safe, the brain whispers, now you can feel what you once had to ignore. So you might wake up sad without a clear reason. But the truth is, you're not broken. You're healing. Your body's trying to finish a story that your mind once had to pause. So instead of running from it, sit with it. Feel it. Let it pass through you. Because every unexplainable sadness is your soul finally exhaling. And that's not weakness. That's emotional recovery in disguise.
That I do believe there is a special pill for. It's called fish oil and CBD. And those do work for me. Like when I just feel like I can't even just take on the day. I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like dealing with anybody, talking to anybody. I feel a little, high strung, or I feel like I can snap at any moment. I do have anger issues, 100% for sure. I do not know how to control my anger. And so I do have to take those two things to, kind of balance me out a little bit. And so I'm kind of glad that there are remedies for that, or I would be crazy. Like there has been times where I have ripped doors off hinges and smashed whole bottles and broken shit because of my anger issues. But I don't want to be that person. That's a scary person. It's a horrible person. And so I try to find remedies to make myself more calm. And so far they have been working for me, and I hope that it doesn't change. And maybe even if I had to start smoking weed or something, but I just need something to calm my soul, because I am a very high-strung person. I do set off easily. I like to say that I'm not delicate like a flower. I'm delicate like a bomb. And I'm a concrete rose, I'm very rough on the edges. And so it's gonna take a lot for somebody to accept that. And even just being in a relationship, I honestly truly hate who I am in relationships. I find it almost a little grotesque and disgusting. Like I'm like, ew, why do I feel so mushy? Why do I want to be in their skin? Why don't like together? No, not like that. Why do I want to, be touching them and hugging them and thinking about them every waking moment, and be a little, obsessive, possessive, and jealous. Those are ugly qualities and I don't like them. And so just accepting the fact that I don't like who I am in a relationship, and maybe why I've been single for 10 years, and maybe why I try to master and practice detachment, because as soon as I do start to feel like that or get clingy, I'm like, bitch, you need to calm the fuck down. Are you gonna marry this man? Are you gonna spend the rest of your life with him? Are you gonna wake up to him every fucking day and want to see him every waking moment? Probably not. So, maybe you should back up a little bit. So we just really need to learn to love ourselves and accept ourselves fully and completely. And that includes the good, the bad, the ugly, our flaws, our darkness. And it's okay to have weak moments, but that's all we should allow them to be. It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to be vulnerable. But then we got to pick ourselves up and look ourselves in the mirror and just remember who the fuck we are. I just feel like we need to learn how to love ourselves, accept ourselves in every way, shape, and form. Only fix ourselves if it's beneficial, and it's a positive change. I don't think that we should have to physically. I feel like we should be able to do the bare minimum. But that's just my own personal preference. That's just my own personal thoughts. Like I said, I'm never going to tell anybody what to do or how to live their life. I just wish that I can be like a little fairy godmother and put all this beautiful love-spreading thoughts into you.
Wish that I could bake a cake made out of rainbows and smiles, and we'd all eat it, be happy.
And I can't teach anybody how to love themselves. Like I said, it took a very, very long time for me to even love myself and accept everything that I am. And I just hope that maybe eventually it will just continue to grow with age. And don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.